On this episode of Knicks Verse, we are going to take a look at the Milwaukee Bucks, the defending champions. A good team, a solid team, strong. Although they just recently got slapped up by the Miami Heat, a formidable team who have a lot of pieces going on and a good team chemistry. Now, as we dive into our head-to-head matchup against the Milwaukee Bucks, they have us at 116 at 104. So the head-to-head matchup, 220 games. The Milwaukee Bucks have beaten us 116 times. We have beaten them 104 times. But in the playoffs, we've only played 5 total games against them. And that was in 1970. The Eastern Division Finals. The Knicks beat them in 4 games to 1. So 1970, that would have been the championship series, the championship season rather. And the Eastern Division, I don't know what it was, but let's assume that it was the first round or one of the rounds. They faced them in one of the rounds. Very cool. Now, going to the games that we played against them last season. December 27th, March 11th, and March 27th. So really a tale of two Knicks. The first game, I don't think that the narrative going into the season was once Giannis gets a 3-point shot, right? That was the thing going in, if I recall correctly. If you notice, they beat us by 110, 100 and... this is the weirdest thing. Wow, that's even weirder. It's almost like every season from 2013 on, or even before that, they have increased in scoring. If you guys can take a look at these stats, it boggles my mind. Every season, the scoring output has increased, especially for the Bucks. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Bucks will try to get into the 120s against the Knicks. Something to keep in mind. When the Knicks played the Bucks in December, that was the narrative with Giannis. For the Knicks, still trying to find themselves, still trying to understand exactly what we're trying to do. I believe Austin Rivers was still on this team, and establishing an identity. The narrative was not that he was a star, an all-star. He was looking to still stake his claim, but with some really good flashes too. And no Derrick Rose. And then after, we had Derrick Rose in March for both of those games. Let's take a look at the first game, December 27th. We held them in the second to 18 points. We beat them 130-110. Fourth quarter, 30 points. So we allowed 30 points for Milwaukee, and they outscored us. We outscored them in the first, second, and third, which is why this seems somewhat, not handedly, but after a certain while, the game seemed over. 3 minutes in the fourth, I want to say. Usually when you bring in your subs. Giannis and Middleton is what you're going to look for, and Jrue Holiday, because Jrue Holiday is now a guy. Brook Lopez is now a player too. Bobby Portis, these guys are Pat Connaughton. These are their players now. These are their core. So all these guys are going to be highlighted in some way, shape, or form. And it's a championship team. It's a championship quality team because they have a strong first, a very strong second, who for some teams can be a first. If you put Chris Middleton on the Sacramento Kings, or if you put Chris Middleton on the Orlando Magic, maybe they won't win as many games. Maybe they'll pull out a few more, a handful or so, maybe a bit more. Who knows? Kawhi to the Raptors, for example, one player completely changed the entire dynamic. But you put Chris Middleton in Orlando and the play quality increases. The scoring output somewhat increases, and movement off the ball increases. Now, whether that generates wins, situational basketball is a thing. So something to keep in mind as well. 43% from the field, 18% from 3. Terrible. For the Knicks, who helped out? Randle, Peyton, but we don't speak of him anymore. RJ helped out as well. Randle had a double. I feel like every time I look at these games, Randle had a double-double. I'm surprised when he doesn't have one. Burks helped out with 18 points, and Frank was there, but he's gone. Burks helped out with 18. We shot 59% from 3. No culprits, although Randle 8 for 17. Not terrible. RJ could improve a bit more. 7 for 17. But he did get 17 and 8, and I like that. IQ didn't play. Austin Rivers was indeed on this team. And Obi didn't play. Next game, March 11th, post All-Star break. We were at Milwaukee. A story for the Knicks, I think, or at least a note for now. The Bucks do score in the fourth against this team, so we have to be careful because the Bucks will not let up in the fourth. They will fight equally as hard. Let me take a quick peek into this, except for just as I spoke, right? Except for the last game. But who did they not have? They had people. Oh, they didn't have Giannis. It would be a little hard to And they didn't have players. They were resting players because of health reasons. But when they have their players on in the fourth, they can score and they won't let up. RJ helped out. Did Randle? Randle did not score too much. Interesting. This is a bad Randle game. RJ helped out, and this game we lost. Yeah, we got beat pretty bad. Alec Burks helped out, but at that point, IQ, Toppin, OB, but Reggie wasn't really there. Very odd minutes placement. Very, very odd. It's like it was distributed almost, which says at some point the game was far out of reach. When you see star players getting 29 minutes, 26, 25 minutes. Well, Lopez, it's different. But Jrue Holiday getting 25 minutes. And what are they, 57%, 47%? 42% from the field. Assists, 19, 29 assists. What did they do? 27 assists. We had to 24 in the last game. And then the next game, 102-96, we beat them, but they didn't really have, because Thanasis scored 23 points. And their starters weren't in. And I don't see RJ. Where was Randle? This might have been the one Randle game, that he missed. Right. And who helped out? RJ and Alec. Very nice. This is the third game. What's the narrative for this? Holding Milwaukee under 30 points in a quarter. And even though they had a good scoring output going into the half, we held them to 23 and then to 19 as we maintained ourselves for the most part. But even then, our scoring output also declined from 32, 25, 24, 21. So slight drop-offs, which means we came in with energy and then slowly it dissipated. So if this were a team that could have taken advantage of that in situational basketball. Now let's take a look at their draft pick. Isaiah Todd, round 2, 31st pick from the G League Ignite. Nice. Just the farm system, man. Feel free to pause as you wish, as I'll be talking over and looking at the keywords. Athletic forward, floor spacer, and defender in the inaugural G League Ignite team. Who was selected to play the All-American McDonald's game and Jordan Brand Classic. He averaged 12 points and 4 rebounds. 6'10", 210 pounds, 7'1" wingspan. Is good size for a forward. He's a jump shooter coming off the bench. Some touches in the post. Comfort levels at NBA 3. Flashing some ability to rise into mid-range jumpers off the screen. Made clear strides as a shooter. Okay, shooting. Not a high volume of shooting is from what I'm hearing now. Playing a complementary role on the offensive end, but getting touches steadily. Perimeter spotting up, picking and popping, trailing plays in transition, and even running off screens. So trying to involve himself within the system, within the play is what this guy looks like he's trying to do. Very cool. Take a look at their stats. They're 1-1 now. I want to see who's against Chicago and Detroit, Indiana, Cleveland. It might be a 2-team race, I think, in the Central for them, and maybe eventually someone will start to pull forward 4 or 5 games or something like that. I could definitely see Milwaukee, them kind of being about even with Chicago, and then come January to about February, you'll start to see the 2 games here more, and then Chicago wins the 1, or Milwaukee wins the 3 or 4 to Chicago's 1 or 2, and then eventually they start to pull out. That's what I could see happening. Unless Chicago really fights and wants to maintain that division lead, I could see that happening too. Stats-wise, what are they doing this year? Oh, Middleton. It's only 2 games, and they were blown out, so they probably didn't play as much. But they do have George Hill, Middleton, Pat Connaughton. Grayson Allen is also a shooter. They have a shooter on their team. They lose PJ Tucker, but they gain... I didn't even see PJ Tucker in any of these. They lose PJ Tucker, but they gain Grayson Allen, who's a shooter. They still have Brook Lopez. They still have Jrue Holiday. They still have high energy Thanasis Antetokounmpo, which accounts for something. I would like to believe so. Oh, they have another person that's of Greek descent right over here. Giannis is averaging a double-double. Oh, wow. He's leading the team in assists, too. Once Jrue kind of gets his way, he'll be good. So this team isn't too strong when it comes to... They do average 5 assists. No, sorry. There are some people who do get 5 assists. 5 rebounds, rather. They're not going to be flashy, I guess, with their passes. Fundamental in this case. They're not going to steal the ball too much. They're not going to block you too much. They don't turn the ball over. They're sound overall, I would say. They're a championship quality team that has the ability to lose if they're not a cohesive unit, or the random off game based off the schedule, which can happen. You can't have it all. Their starters look like Jrue Holiday, Dante DiVincenzo, Chris Middleton, Giannis, and Lopez. That's a good team. That's a really strong team. And then they have George Hill, Grayson Allen, Pat Connaughton, and Bobby Portis. So the George Hill, Grayson Allen, Pat Connaughton versus the Alec Burks, Emmanuel Quickly, Derrick Rose, and also for their Bobby Portis to our Obi Toppin. That's a bench versus a bench, a quality bench versus a quality bench, a decent bench versus a decent bench, I would say. And their starters, I think their star beats our star because their star won a championship and, went into the season with one narrative, left the season as this gem from a different country that came into America and is just completely cherished. A person that's not born or raised in the United States has a great story and just captures the hearts of people and is endeared in everyone's mind. So you see how the story changes from this guy who came in and, once he starts shooting threes, once he develops that move, and then he may not even need to shoot threes as much, only when it's really necessary. No real issues for their stars, although there are some injury issues. So let's take a look and see. Bobby Portis ruled out for Sunday's game against the Spurs. Lopez, but nothing long term. It seems to just be out, and we'll see what happens. And now let's take a look when they will play next season. Based off everything that I see, based off looking at their stats, as a team and as a team overall, last season they were 28-20-17. They lost some players, but they kept some. Dante DiVincenzo can go for about 10. Oh, he can get 6 rebounds a game and 3 assists a game? Huh. They'll pass. Really decent. They will do their best to try to get rebounds. They really try to get offensive rebounds. I can see them going, this will be a little tough. Let's look at the schedule because we'll see what happens. But their point guard is better than our point guard. Their small forward is better than our small forward. Their power forward is better than our power forward. But that doesn't mean that we won't try. That doesn't mean that we won't be prepared. November 5th, quick game November 10th. The next month, December, and then January. All games, we won't even have to think of these guys after the All-Star break. But in the sense of going up against them, what would be nice if we get the conference record against them, hopefully. So that this way, should they choose to fail in some way after the All-Star break, we could potentially hold a good head-to-head record. So we're hoping to kind of beat them while they're still figuring themselves out, so that once they're more established, assuming after the All-Star break, and if they make some mistakes that could cost them, and if the Knicks have a good series or record against them in the conference, the chips, we don't know how they fall, but we hope they'll fall in our favor. So November 5th, 10th, and December 12th. November 5th, what's going on? We're away at Indiana, and then to Milwaukee. Home, and then quickly away, and then home, and then away. So a little volatile, because we see them, but they do come see us, November 10th. So it's really in a game right after. So we have a back-to-back. I could probably see even though the Bucks did get shellacked, I can see the Bucks winning. I could see the Bucks winning the first 2 based off the schedule. A little tired coming off of playing Philly. I don't think Ben Simmons will be there at that point. December, quickly. Home, get a day off, but we will be San Antonio on the 7th, the day after Indiana. Not a bad commute, but it's the day after. Off, then up to Toronto. So you got to go through customs and all that stuff. And then home for 2 games. Eek. And then what's the 4th game? January 28th. Oof, man. These will be some tough games. You're hoping for some solace with that Cleveland game. Let's look at Milwaukee before I start making sound decisions. Okay, so they have a pretty easier. Utah might be a problem for them on Halloween. I could see them winning the first game. I'll say they lose the second game. I'll say we go 1-3 against them, and we win the November game. The December game, Let me see what the Knicks do in December. The December game. I can see the Bucks really trying to win that one, because look at what the Bucks have. Miami, that's a redemption game. They would really want to beat Miami twice. They see them twice in December 4th and December 8th. Really want to beat them, especially home on the 8th. Maybe they're exerting a lot of energy on the 8th. Go to Houston. Maybe Houston could give them a little something. John Wall could give those boys a little something, tire them out. Lose would probably at least tire them out for us, so that this way the Knicks can really grind out the team and then, like, see, this is what we're doing for the Celtics. We'll give them something good, giving them a win potentially. So give us some draft picks, because we're trying to help you out too. Thanks for the point guard and thanks for Kemba and Evan 48, by the way, too. Let me see January 28th. Memphis, Atlanta, Chicago. Maybe they could beat Sacramento, Cleveland, go to New York. I say 1-3. And the game that is won is the November 10th game, because I think that bodes well. They're on the road, having to travel, and it's a back-to-back. So 1-3, maybe 2-2 with that January game. And that's what we'd be hoping for. Those are my predictions. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to put your opinions down as well. I'd like to hear your thoughts.